So, Stuart, in today's church world, something that we are seeing a lot of is RF. What does RF stand for?
Radio frequency.
Right. So what is that in layman's terms? What kind of gear?
Wireless microphones, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wireless microphones, in-ear packs, stuff like that. Radio frequency is not a new technology. It's been around for a long time. In fact, a lot of the standards that we read on RF manuals, tech specs are still using all the old coding that the military invented. So it's been around for a long time. But the way that we use radio frequencies has changed a lot. What was one of the big changes that we see in the modern day now?
Well, it's so stuffed. If you ever Google the chart,
Yeah.
it's so big that it takes multiple lines to put it on one page, and you can and you have to zoom in to see what's all on there. So with microphones, now these are wired microphones, but if they were wireless microphones, the bandwidth that they are in is so thin. We share the space with a whole bunch of other stuff, and so the technology has to be there to make them work.
Yeah, I love talking to the old school audio guys who did this, 40 years ago, and they're like, "Man, when we were first pioneering wireless microphones, life was easy.
Yeah,
you just picked a frequency and transmitted, and you didn't really have any problem." And nowadays, it's precision engineering. When we're selling a church wireless equipment, the first thing that we have to do, and so if you're going to buy wireless equipment, the first thing you need to do is to know your area. Every geographical area has different frequency ranges that are usable and unusable. The primary offender in your area is going to be high definition TV stations. So with the advent of high definition TV, they are using the same RF spectrum that your wireless mics are using, except their antennas and transmitters are way more powerful than your gear could ever hope to be.
Powerful.
Yeah. So you lose.
Yes.
You don't even want to try to go up against a TV station. You lose. And of course, there's other stuff going on in the area.
Cell phones, T-Mobile is the big one.
They've dipped down into where microphones used to be.
They have a lot more money than wireless mic companies.
That's just it. And they have larger equipment. When you buy a wireless microphone, your receiver is this little half rack unit. It's just not going to have the kind of power in it. And then, especially thinking about wireless in-ear packs, now we've shrunk it down to this teeny little belt pack that you're going to wear that's being ran
battery
off
powered.
2 AA batteries. That receiver is not a powerful receiver.
No.
And so you need to do everything in your power to make that optimal. And so the first thing you do is you just go do a scan. I know Shure has a really great tool that I use for a lot of our stuff. You just Google the Shure wireless frequency. That's all you have to Google and it should show up. I can't remember exactly what the tool's called. But basically, you just put your zip code in, and it's going to show you a chart of all the TV channels in your area and specifically what frequency bands they're operating in. And then it's going to show you all the TV channels that are open. So that it's going to show you in terms of TV channels. But you can add, there's a little checkbox that says show frequencies. That's what I use so that I can see. So let's say that I'm going to order some new wireless mics for a church, and I see that my wireless mics come in the range of 470 to 512, 512 to 560, and 560 to 600 or something like that. Those are usually the ranges you can buy. If I see that there's 3 TV channels in the 470 to 512 range, I'm not going to buy wireless in that range.
That makes sense.
You're already going to be at a losing battle.
Yeah.
So you want to think ahead and see what frequency ranges are most open. I typically pick whatever my wireless microphone manufacturer gives me. Usually they give you 3 bands. I pick the band that has the least amount of TV channels in it. So now we're ahead. But when you actually go to install them, another big error that people make is they put wireless receivers right next to each other. These little antennas, again, are very small. They're quarter wave antennas. They're not designed to broadcast very far or pick up very far. And if you put them right next to each other, we see a lot of wireless works like this, where they're crossing each other.
Yeah.
This interference station. Your safest bet is to if you're going to use them, to keep them 6 feet apart, which is sometimes very hard to do. Or you're going to need to use like an RF distribution system. Like, what's our favorite one?
RF Venue.
Yeah. And what does it do?
Be the one. So basically what Andrew was just saying is you got all these little tiny antennas. Well, what if we just got rid of all these antennas and we brought them all into one antenna. Then we're basically getting rid of this little farm of antennas, and now we're able to aim it right where we need it to. So if it was, say, on stage, or actually the rack could be really anywhere, but you could have your fin on stage, and it's pointing right at all the wireless mics that are being used.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to combine it all together and optimize it to help improve your RF. But in part 2 of this series, we're going to talk about a couple other lesser known tools to help you improve your RF.